welcome back to our channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to talk about and review Midnight Mass.
Yeah.
The latest Netflix limited series written and directed by Mike Flanagan, same guy who did The Haunting of Hill House.
Right, yeah. I feel like he's kind of a favorite for us.
He's definitely one of mine. He's somebody that I think has been quietly building like a great resume in the horror genre over the past 5 to 10 years maybe.
Right.
Maybe only about 5 to 6.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about this show, and I feel like we haven't actually done like a sit-down review in a little bit.
I feel a little rusty.
Because we've been doing a lot of first-time watches from the couch.
Right. We're on our 13 Days of Horror.
Yeah, so we were wrapped up in that, but we finished Midnight Mass before we even started doing those.
I know, yeah. So we're a little late to the show with this, but we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to talk about this show because, in my opinion, it's kind of tough because there's the last episode, which I'm still a little conflicted on, but this is definitely one of my favorite shows of the year, if not my favorite show of the year.
Gotcha.
If this is your first time finding us on the Married with Media channel, hit the subscribe button.
Yes.
Also, be sure to like the video and comment down below if you watch Midnight Mass. It's on Netflix right now. What are your thoughts? I know a lot of people did watch the show. It feels like it was a pretty buzzworthy show.
Yeah, I feel like so.
But yeah, comment down below. And this is going to be kind of a spoiler review. I would say we'll probably end up giving some not full spoilers. I think, I don't know. Maybe we'll get into some stuff probably, but we'll try to keep it as light as possible.
Yeah, maybe not watch if you haven't seen it yet, but...
Yeah.
But yeah. So just getting right into the show, like you mentioned, it was written and directed by?
It was written and directed by Mike Flanagan,
right?
Who he did the exact same thing with The Haunting of Hill House. He wrote and directed that whole thing. Now with Bly Manor, he did not.
Oh, okay.
He just produced it, and I think he directed like the first couple episodes.
Gotcha.
Because I guess he was busy making this show, which I wasn't even on my radar until 2 weeks before it came out that he was even coming out with a new show.
Yeah. But let's talk about the cast for a minute. I feel like it had a pretty good cast. There were definitely some standouts to me.
Yeah.
So I would say I'll just, I kind of like talking about the actors that stand out to me.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't know if you feel the same, but I really enjoyed So I enjoyed the guy who played Father Paul.
Yes, he was great.
His name is Hamish Linklater.
Linklater? That's the same as the director, Richard Linklater.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if they're related or not, but it's the same last name.
So, I mean, this guy was just fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Very captivating. Very easy to watch and listen to. Like, you could be drawn into. For all the criticisms we had of, like, the long sequences of dialogue, like, whenever he was talking, like, I was drawn in.
Yeah, so he was just fantastic. Another one of my favorites was the sheriff.
Oh, yeah.
Sheriff Hassan, which his name in real life is Rahul Kohli, which with Mike Flanagan, he uses a lot of the same actors.
Yes, he does.
And so this guy, he actually was like the chef or the cook.
In Bly Manor.
In Bly Manor, yeah. So
I heard you point that out, but I could tell there was a resemblance, but I couldn't feel. I don't know. I didn't see that guy when I watched him perform. I saw two different people.
He wore glasses in Bly Manor.
Yeah.
And just a totally different character. But anyway.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I liked him too.
There were just a lot of scenes. He was playing like a single dad or I don't know if you call a guy who's lost his wife, a widow. Yeah, a widower. Okay.
Yeah.
But he just had a lot of really emotional scenes, like with him and his son, and just
that culminated in a climax that I thought was very impactful. And I'm not going to get into it. We'll get into it we'll do the spoilers, but I thought it was impactful because of how they built it up with them and their relationship together.
Yeah.
And I feel like those two kind of made that whole scene in the 6th episode.
Yeah, because, this show is 100% about, Christianity.
Yes.
And, they came from a different religion, a different religious background. I forget what their religion was.
They're Muslim.
Muslim, okay. Yeah. And so, there was a lot of, conflict with that. But anyway, and then I'll just say one more of my favorites. The one that I loved to hate.
You're going to take my favorites.
Okay, well, I'll let you do it. Are you talking about Bev?
Yes.
Okay.
I love a good villain.
Right. And boy, was she.
Bev was easily the best villain
of
2021 so far. Probably TV and movies.
Biggest bitch you ever did see. And fun fact, I told him, she was in Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. And that's a running joke with us, because every time you bring somebody up on a show that I've never heard of, you're like, you remember them from... Oh, God, what were they on? I was like, they must have been on Grey's Anatomy, because I don't know who they are.
Yeah, and sometimes I laugh and I'm like, yep, you're right.
Yeah, because that's one of the only shows you watch completely without me.
Like, she was fine in Grey's Anatomy, but I had no idea of her capability to act like this.
And she was another one that, you really hated her as a character, but every time she talked, I was drawn into what she was saying.
Right.
And just her performance was just top tier in this whole show.
You... actually believed that she was this person, and there was no way that she could be anybody else.
Just the hyper Christian, just super uppity, and just in everybody's business,
right?
And
just no matter what,
low key evil on the side,
right? So, yeah. So did you have any additional favorites, or were they kind of the same as mine, or?
They were, pretty much the same as yours. I'm trying to think.
I mean, I feel like...
I like Henry Thomas when he shows up in anything. Obviously, I'm a big E.T. fan, and I think he's done some good work with Mike Flanagan, kind of revitalizing his career. Yeah,
but to be honest, he was not a big part of this show.
No, but I like him when I see him, because I'm like, that's Henry Thomas. Even when he's playing Jack Nicholson in Dr. Sleep, I like him.
Let's talk about the people who really brought it and had a big part of it. I mean, I feel like a lot of people were talking about Zach Gilford, who played Riley, but for me, he just
Riley, for me, was easily the weakest of the show. The weakest performance and the weakest character. Well, I don't want to say performance. I think he did an okay job, but the character was very weak. Just the way he was set up. With killing the girl in the accident in the beginning, and how they kind of really took a page out of Bly Manor, where they were showing her. It was kind of reminding me of the exact same thing as from Bly Manor with the glasses with the headlights in them.
Yeah.
But that ended kind of quickly and didn't really amount to much.
Yeah.
And I didn't really enjoy or was that interested in his character or his particular arc. I liked the scenes with him and the father because of the father that was in it. But what I will say is I really enjoyed his, I guess we'll say, this is a little bit of a spoiler, kind of a full spoiler, but I enjoyed his final scene in the show.
Yeah, I will say, the last few episodes, I feel like he did redeem himself a little bit. Yeah.
It was really cool, and it was one where we were kind of sitting there, and they were on the boat, and you didn't even know what was going on. I'm like, oh, he's just going to full on take himself out.
I thought he was going to turn her or whatever.
Yeah, and let's get into the big spoiler here, because this is something I had no idea. I thought that this, Mike Flanagan did a Hill House, Haunting of Hill House. He's kind of done a lot of supernatural movies.
Right.
So I kind of thought that this was another kind of haunted ghost story, supernatural, with the Christianity and stuff. But no, this is a full-fledged vampire movie. This is a creature feature.
Well, so I mean, I know you were telling me that.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out...
It's a vampire movie without them ever saying the word vampire.
True.
They never bring up that they're vampires or anything like that. It's almost as if vampires don't exist in this universe. That's what I loved about it. Because they treated it kind of like The Walking Dead, because they never say zombie in The Walking Dead.
Right.
They treat it as if they are angels of heaven. The main one that kind of starts it all and turns the father. And
well, for me, so I think talking about like religion is just so fascinating.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just so interesting to me. And so I'm still trying to figure out exactly what he was trying to do with this show. Because for me, as I was watching it unfold, just like all of the people, you know, in this town who were, most of them were just 100% devoted to, you know, their religion and believing that all of these like crazy, unbelievable things that were happening, you know, they believed that it was, you know, because of God or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but like at the same time, we're watching things basically fall apart, and like they would just continue to go through with it because they thought that that's what God wanted them to do.
Yeah. In particular, the last episode, would you say?
I'm not sure. Maybe
the last 2 episodes.
Couple, yeah. But you know, like, spoiler alert, but by the end of it, they had essentially effed themselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, for my interpretation, we basically find out that it was all for nothing.
This is a definitely a deeply religious show about like Christianity and the flaws of religion, organized religion.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also a vampire show. Like this is a vampire show.
Or like, was that really an angel from heaven? I don't know.
Well, okay. So the angel that they call the angel from heaven.
Right.
He sucks your blood.
I know.
He can't go into sunlight or he disintegrates.
I know.
I don't know if they used any of the other tropes. Were they afraid of crosses or anything like that? But there was definitely the process of turning, and it was a very interesting way and kind of
confusing
and conflicting, inconsistent with like the way that they would turn and stuff. Because the father came back, and basically when you got bit by the vampire, you would de-age to your peak form. So the priest that goes missing at the very beginning of the show, or doesn't go missing, but he kind of leaves, and then the father comes in, the younger one, and says that he has replaced him because the other one had to go to a medical center or something to get checked out. And he's really that priest, the older one that was like 80, and he de-aged down to like, I don't know, 35 or 40.
And that wasn't really much of a spoiler. I feel like that was pretty predictable.
And then you had the girl in the wheelchair that when she started to turn, got healed and could walk again.
Right.
But the way they were infecting them wasn't like the traditional way of infecting vampires. Like they weren't all getting bitten. They were putting the blood in the communion that
they were taking.
Yeah. And it was infecting them with this virus. But to do the full turn, they had to actually get bits and go through the process of turning.
Gotcha. Yeah.
To become a vampire. So for me, like it was for sure vampires, but they weren't calling them vampires.
Right. So yeah, just for me, like it
was something different. But that's what I thought was so interesting about it, because it was just such a different take on the vampire genre.
Right.
Because that's a whole genre of horror. There's tons of vampire films.
Yeah.
Outside of Twilight. I feel like it popped with Twilight and Vampire Diaries in the modern era, but you go back to the 70s and 80s and they made tons of vampire movies.
Yeah.
So this was a very unique take on that.
Yeah, I mean, this show was definitely one of those slow burns, wouldn't you say?
It was a slow burn, and like we talked about a little bit earlier, there were some very long, drawn-out scenes of dialogue in those early episodes that I know was hard for you to get into.
Yeah.
You didn't really enjoy. To me, like by the time we got to episode 6, I was like, okay, it was all worth it. I felt like that all built to something powerful and like epic.
Right.
And it did, and episode 6 is fantastic. It's easily the best episode. That climax in the church, the midnight Easter Mass. It's one of the best scenes I've seen in TV probably in the last 5 years. I loved it. And then you get to episode 7, the final episode, and that's where things started to fall apart for me a little bit. And it just didn't end as strongly as I would have liked.
Yeah, I can see that.
But again, sometimes when you watch stuff, it's not always about what you want to happen or what you would like to happen. It's about what's being told to you.
Right.
Sometimes you just have to accept it and move on.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I feel like there's definitely more that could be said about the show. I mean, I know I just gave like a huge spoiler.
Well, we said we were gonna spoil. Maybe I can put some, notes down below, and we'll spoilers start here or something.
But I feel like initially when we finished the show, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it. I was kind of like indifferent almost. But kind of talking about it just now with you, I don't know. I feel like I did enjoy it more than I thought I did. And I mean, just because there were some, really good actors and, like you said, just some really like epic scenes and everything. And again, I just love the whole like religion thing, and it's just
get ready for some very dense, deep sequences of dialogue that, in my opinion, were a little bit self-indulgent. I feel like it was Mike Flanagan like flexing a little bit and just being like, Netflix just let him do whatever the hell he wanted to do, which is great. But also it's like, I feel like normal shows wouldn't have these kind of long sequences because the studios would come in and be like, no, you can't have it be that long. But it seems the dialogue would last like forever.
So, what would you give this show?
Be honest, I can't remember. I actually scored it on Letterboxd. I think I gave it a 4.5, so I'd probably go with a 9. Maybe a 9.25.
Okay.
I did really enjoy it. I do think it just kind of fell apart for me a little bit at the end because it wasn't the ending I wanted, and also I just felt like some characters are acting very inconsistent. They were acting inconsistent with how they acted throughout the rest of the show.
Okay.
In particular, Bev. I thought she was really stupid in that last episode, and I don't feel like her character would have made some of those very bad decisions that she did.
Right, yeah. That essentially
screwed them I had a big problem with what they did with Bev in the final episode.
Gotcha.
But beyond that, it's still a great show. It's one I would absolutely recommend because I've seen a lot of people really love the ending and how it ended.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do think I almost feel like they were trying to, I think I told you this, but it was almost like he was trying to make fun of how some religions like are just so blinded by, I guess, what the Bible says, or that they just can't even like think straight, or I don't know.
It was definitely a commentary on that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, very interesting. So for me, I'm going to say, 8.5, maybe 8.75.
Yeah.
Just for those like slower episodes, and I don't know.
For me, I do love stuff that just feels different, and this definitely felt different. It didn't feel like the same old.
Right.
So I'll always give stuff a little bit extra, even if I didn't like certain things because of that.
Enough. Yeah, so there you have it, guys. There are our thoughts on Midnight Mass. Like I said, I feel like there's like so much more that you could talk about, but
we could have done a whole hour-long live stream.
I know,
on this
probably
show.
So. But anyway, so yeah, be sure to comment down below if you have watched this or plan to watch it. Feel free to comment any like shocking moments, or your thoughts on it, like what you think that they were trying to put out there, or whatever, about religion, or whatever, whatever it may be.
I'm sure there's 50,000 ending explains on YouTube about this show.
Yeah.
People that can break it down a little bit better than us.
Yeah, well, that's what's fun about watching stuff, is like, there's just so many ways to interpret things. So, so anyway.
But I really enjoyed the show. Appreciate you guys watching. Like the video, comment, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
Please do. We're on our way to 500.
Yes, we are. We'll see you next time.
Bye.